Hi everyone, and a big welcome to our first Adelaide Property Market update for the year, for 2021. Happy New Year, Lockie.
Thank you very much, Marissa.
Well, year now, 2021's hit us, and today we're talking about the Adelaide Property Market update. So we've been doing these quarterly, and today we're really talking about what's happened over the last quarter up to December 2020. How are you finding things out there at the moment, Lockie?
Look, it's a mixed bag in the sense that if you get a property type, say a house on land, it's going exceptionally well. I'd say at least probably above 10% what past sales would be, and often vendor expectations, sometimes up to 30%, but it's very much relies on the type of property you're selling. It's really houses and land.
We're definitely still seeing, like following on from the last time we caught up, buyer demand is massive. We're seeing so many people wanting pre-approvals, and that definitely reflects in the stats. I think across Australia we're now above pre-pandemic house levels in every capital city. The National Home Value Index is up by 0.9%. Adelaide's up by 3.3% in the last 3 months alone.
I'm not surprised.
And that's 0.9% just in the last month. So, I mean, this is all leading to amazing house price growth, which, are you expecting this to continue? Based on how many people are coming to opens and the interest that you're seeing from buyers? Yeah,
good one. Yeah, well, the REA met yesterday, as I think many people know, and they decided to keep the historically low interest rates of 0.1% on hold. There's some talk that might be like that for 4 years. There's certainly no time soon that anyone can see that rates will rise. So what fuels the property market is always cheap money, and because of COVID, it's set us all around the world, and definitely here in Australia, in a very unique situation where the government's pumped a lot of money into the economy or into the country. I think about 250 billion or something like that. But they've also made money very cheap. So, and there's plenty of people and businesses, and there's plenty that aren't. I will admit that, but there's plenty that are doing okay, and so they're just bubbling along as they always have, and yet money's cheap. So that's fueling the market. I think on top of that, and we're probably seeing it very much in Brisbane, certainly in Adelaide, is that, I think as of COVID, people are valuing a different style of home. Like they're not loving units as much, they're not loving where there's common areas and they've got to get in a lift to go up to their apartment. They're valuing open space, and so they're wanting houses. So the demand for that is massive. But so, from our perspective as a business, like we are finding it very hard to list houses. The volume of people wanting to sell those is much lower. So you've got a combination of fierce buyer inquiry and less to choose from. So it's pretty obvious where anything being sold in that type of environment is going to go, and that's up. So.
Supply and demand equation, isn't it? Are you starting to see, because I remember we talked about the stock levels last quarter when we caught up, are you starting to see across the market, do you think sellers are getting the message and stock levels are starting to rise a little bit, or do you think that that's still not happening?
Yeah, look, I think last year we would always historically see a much higher volume during the spring months, and that really never happened. It just sort of stayed tight. I think the people that own the houses on land in reasonable areas, 5 to 7 k's of the city in particular, are just thinking twice about whether they sell it. People aren't necessarily leaving Adelaide to go interstate like they usually would, particularly our,
I think people are coming back now.
So it's actually the other way around.
We're getting a bit more migration
coming back. And people realise how good Adelaide is in general, but how well it's coped with COVID. So lots of little factors. I mean, the traffic at the moment, trying to get to work, cafes are always booked. I mean, Adelaide really seems to be on fire.
Yeah, it's going well, I think. And definitely on the home loan side of things, we've seen that home loans for purchases are up nearly 40% on what they were this time last year. So that's just incredible, really, when you think about the increase there. So I'm still feeling pretty positive about what's ahead for the Adelaide market. Are you feeling the same?
Well, look, we use the CoreLogic RP data stats. That's what we subscribe to. That's what we look at when we give our clients advice about where we think a value might go. They predict that the Adelaide market and most of the capital cities in Adelaide are going to rise from sort of a minimum of 5%, maybe up to 12%. Wow. So it started well, like as you said, 0.9% in the first month already. So I think it's going to be well. I think the risk, but who knows? Like all these things that seem to be risky, we just sort of seem to just push on through. But in the middle of the year, I think the $250 billion that the federal government and state governments have been putting into the economy is going to stop on a lot of levels.
Yep.
You know, the JobKeeper and international students and travel and all that sort of stuff. So in June or July this year, there could be some risk, I don't know. Because a lot of the government stimulus might stop a little bit. Yeah,
it will be interesting to see how that all pans out, because of course there are some unknown elements, but I guess what we do know is that the Adelaide economy has done pretty well. Most businesses and people in Adelaide have survived through the pandemic pretty well. We haven't had much lockdown, which has definitely helped our economy, and there is huge demand. I think people have been cooped up in their houses too long and now want more space.
Making up for lost time, and I think that's really true. Like, people have plans and then they're all put on hold and now it's go.
And from our perspective, we're seeing, at Rise High, we're seeing that people have actually been saving quite a bit of money because they haven't been going out as much and they haven't been able to do that overseas holiday that they were planning. So they've been able to invest that money in their houses, either in like saving a bigger deposit for a new house or renovating their existing house. So people are injecting money into property in Adelaide, which is really good news. What are you seeing on the rental side? So are you seeing that, there's a lot of demand? Are you seeing the same sort of demand and supply issues on the rental side?
Yeah, so I've been working in this in our family business here for 17 years, and the rental market's always been pretty steady, but probably pre-COVID, for 2 or 3 years pre-COVID, a lot of our property managers would, I heard all the conversations in the office talking to their landlords. Oh, look, you might just need to revise the price you're asking, and there'd be $20, $30 price drops per week to get applications and tenancies. Now it's $500 a week. Some tenants are just coming up and they've had a hell of a journey until they reach us, and they're just like saying, here's $550, here's $600 a week just so I can secure the property.
Wow.
So we're seeing multiple applications.
So that's becoming like a bidding war as well now, and it's just driving rents higher.
Yeah, that's right. So there's multiple applications, which is driving that market. And also, just with investment type properties, you get like 1% on your money in a bank. So we're seeing a lot of our clients, a lot of investors getting loans even, and buying properties purely just for the yield. They don't even care whether they get to the capital growth. But if they can get 3%, 4% or 5% yield, then they're happy. And they'll just hold that for 10 years. So, well,
at the moment, they're going to get both, because we know that the Adelaide market's set for growth, so we're going to get the capital growth. Our yield in Adelaide is better than in almost any capital city in Australia. So from an investment perspective, it's really never been a better time to invest in property, really.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
Get in quick if you're looking to buy.
Yeah.
And if you're thinking about selling, it probably is worth getting an appraisal, because there's a lot of buyers out there looking for property.
Yeah, and also if you are one of the Turner landlords, or you're not, well, maybe you should pop over and we can help you anyway. But what we're doing at the moment, and what we're going to do a lot more this year, is doing appraisals for our clients, which are free. And we'll give them a bit of an idea of where the market might see value. And if you've got some equity in there, it might be a great time to use that and then build your portfolio. And you can have a chat to the Rise High team about any lending and whatever you need to do in that department. So we're going to be very active in talking to our clients and actually calling them to put that forward a bit more. And also, just to help from our perspective at Turner, so turnerrealestate.com.au, we spent a lot of time and effort on our website last year, but you can register as a renter on our website, and you can also do that as a buyer. So all that's free. If you do that as a buyer, you'll be sent an automatic email for all the properties our sales team list. Not all of them go on the major portals, so make sure you do that. And certainly for renting, it's a fully automated process. You go into Turner, put your area and what you want per week, and you'll be notified of all properties we have for lease. And we've leased about 4 or 5 just last week, again without going to the major portals, just through Turner. So make sure you do that, so you're seeing every single property in the market. Yeah,
thanks, Lockie. And well, that pretty much wraps us up for today. So all good news today. everything's going in the right direction for Adelaide Property Market. So we'll check in with you again in a few months. We'll be running these property market updates quarterly so that you can stay informed on what's happening in the Adelaide Property Market. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
See you later.